Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make deep minimal house in the style of Enzo Siragusa as well as Rossko. As usual, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets from this video. Everything is available in the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, let's get started. So, first sound that we have here is this little vocal sample, which sounds like this. And this. So what this is these two little vocal snippets. I'll turn off the effects really quick and show it to you.
Hold on. Does he read me?
Yeah, you may recognize the voice. I just brought these in here, and then I have them going through some effects. So this is something I hear a lot in these guys' tracks, and sort of like this style of this like deeper minimal house. It's just having these little like ominous vocals like this in the background. Adds a lot of texture, because like listen to the track if I don't have those playing. And then I'll turn them on now. Yeah, it's like you have all this stuff that's like kind of like doing all this quick syncopated percussion stuff. But then you have this like long ambient sound over top of it, and I feel like it's a really nice juxtaposition with all the groove and then like these little ambient sounds. So for effects on here, the first thing we have is a bandpass filter. You can see I've automated the filter frequency, so it's just like kind of changing the sound over time and making it sort of like move and warp and morph and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, bandpass filter is a really good way to take this and kind of obscure it a little bit more, because you can hear if I turn it off, it's right up there in your face with everything else, and I feel like that's not going to work as well. This needs to be kind of more ominous, so having the bandpass is a really good way to do that. I've got that going into a bit of echo as well as a bit of reverb. These are giving the sound the space and the ambience that you hear. Then we have some saturation. You can see just kind of making the sound a bit fatter. And then I also have a utility here because it was really quiet coming out of here for whatever reason, so I just boosted the gain. Great way to do like a clean gain boost like that if you need to. And then the last thing we have on there is a high pass filter, and that is it for the vocals. After that, we have this little industrial ambient pad sound, which sounds like this. And so what these are is actually just the same sample. It's just that, and then I took it here. You can see I pitched it up 1. Here I pitched it up +6, so 5 up from the first one. And yeah, so this is the other part of the sort of like ambient sounds that you hear in these types of tracks. You know, a lot of times these guys like to use little pads like this as well. Just these sort of like more smooth kind of ambient sounds. It's very similar to the vocal. It's like when you have something that's so like bass driven and groovy like this, it's a really nice juxtaposition to throw in like these more like kind of like dark industrial sort of pad sounds. And yeah, so with these, what we've got here is I've just got the sound, and then I have a bit of echo and some reverb, just giving it the space. So it rings out super long, and then we just have a high-pass filter cutting out the long, and that's really it for that. It's a pretty simple sound, but between this and the vocal, you get a lot more atmosphere in the track while still letting all this percussion and low end and stuff shine. After that, we have the kick, which sounds like this. So the kick is 2 layers. What we've got going on here is you can see I've got this one in the low end, and then this one, which is like the punch. So what we've got here, as you can see, I've got them in an instrument rack, and then we've got this EQ3 here, where you can see I've set the frequency low to 140 hertz, and then I'm just soloing the low end, and then on this one, same frequency low, and then we're just soloing the mids and highs. So yeah, kind of a nice way to make a kick, because you can get the best of both. Like this has a really nice, powerful low end to it. And this had like a really nice sort of to it, but then this one doesn't have that same powerful low end, and this one doesn't have the same crack to it. So you put them together, and you can really get a kick that's the best of both. So yeah, and then just got that going through a bit of drum bass. You can see it's on the medium setting, and I've got the transients up. This is really good for making these two kind of like come together and sound more like one kick. And yeah, that is it for the kick. After that, we have the bass line, which sounds like this. So here are the notes. You can see it's just playing in G. We just have, mostly it's just playing G. We have this little D here, a G an octave up, a C, just like this simple, sort of like bouncy. Kind of bass line like this. You know, with this style, it's more about just kind of sticking to the G and then making sure it grooves really nicely with the kick. Like this. So for the sound on this one, I have two layers. You can see we got an instrument rack here. We have this operator layer, which is more like the sub bass. Like you can hear, it's just really more in the low end. What we have here is, you can see 3 sine waves. They're all at the same octave actually, but they're doing FM with each other. And I have the second one set like this with the envelope. And then I have this going into a low pass. So here's without that. And then with it. So it just kind of helps to make the bass a little bit more even and sort of dials it back so it's more of a sub. And then we also have this layer. So this one's really simple. It's just a saw wave going into a bandpass filter. This one's really subtle. It's just something that I noticed. You can see like we have a little bit of an envelope on the filter. We got the amp envelope set like that. It's really not a whole lot going on with this layer, but you can hear it just adds that sort of like little tone on top of the bass, just to make it a little bit more audible, so it's not all just, you know, deep and low end that you feel. But there's also something that you're hearing now. And then on the instrument rack of both of those, I just have a little bit of saturation to glue them together a little bit. And that is it for the bass. And then I have the kick and bass in a group together. This is a technique known as bussing, where you take similar sounds, put them in a group together, process them at once, and they get kind of more glued together. You can see, like, I've done this with the percussion and the hi-hats and the low end here. And yeah, it's just really the best way to make these things sort of come together and sound more cohesive. I'll show you here is with nothing on this group. And then with everything, so you can hear, like, it really does a big difference in terms of just making the kick and bass come together and making the low end really cohesive. So you can see, we just got the drive up a bit on the saturator here. And then also have this EQ8 here, which is boosting the low end a bit. And yeah, that is it for the low end bus. After that, we have the percussion, which sounds like this. Which you can hear on its own, the percussion is like already pretty much dancing off of each other a lot. So the first thing here is just this clap. Pretty standard stuff, just got that playing on the 2 and 4. Then we have this rim shot, which just comes at the end of every bar, like this. Just that little, you know, just kind of like a little subtle detail. It's a bit of call and response because we have these other percussions here. So you're kind of getting like that effect. Then we have this little percussion. Just something that comes in every 2 bars to kind of add some variation. You can hear that just going, doo-doo-doo. And there you can see, yeah, it's just a sample. Got it low pass low, got it going through a little bit of reverb. Then after that, we have this percussion, which I think is probably the most interesting one here. It sounds like this. So the way this is made is by taking this sample. Just like a pretty standard sort of percussive sound. And what I've done is I've got it in the simpler here, and then I have a bandpass filter on this. You can ignore this envelope, it's not on there. But yeah, you can see the bandpass, what's happening is we have a very high resonance, and then I'm automating the frequency to just go down. Like that, so that's how you get that. Like I'll turn off the filter. It doesn't have as much movement without the filter automation. The filter automation is really what gives it that like kind of thing there. And then you can see I've got it going through a bit of saturation. Here's without this. And then with it, so you can hear what happens with the saturator is when you put this bandpass into it with a high resonance, it tends to get a little bit more crunchy. And you get that more kind of like crispy, distorted texture to the sound. Then after that, I've just got a bit of echo as well as a bit of reverb to give it some space because I wanted this to be a little bit more like ambient. And you can really hear it like ringing out there. So yeah, just giving it some space. Then we have a bit of drum bus to kind of make it hit a little bit more here without that. And then with it, you can hear this also just kind of brings out the reverb and the delay a little bit as well. Then we have actually another low pass to cut out some of the sharp highs. And then the last thing we have on here is a high pass filter because there tends to be a little bit of like low end with sounds like this. Like here's without it. You can hear that like underneath everything, but if we cut it out, there you go. And then the last percussion layer that we have here is just this drum rack with these two little percussions. These are really like background, but they add a lot because if I turn it off, and then turn it on, having that in the background constantly, I think makes a big difference. So yeah, just two percussion sounds in the drum rack kind of playing off each other. Got a bit of a high pass filter. And then on the group of the percussion, we just have a bit of saturation just to kind of like make it all a little bit more punchy and make it all hit a little bit more. Here's without it. And then with it. So you can hear the difference there, you know. Just gives everything a little bit more punch. Makes it all kind of come through a little bit more. And yeah, that is it for the percussion. After that, the last thing we have here, these hi-hats, which sound like this. So you can hear pretty simple stuff here. We just got like 16th note hi-hat. You know, just like a very kind of like mid-rangey sound that hits really hard. And then we have this upbeat hi-hat, which is playing on the upbeats. That's what I mean. And yeah, you can see with this one what it is. It's this sample. And then I took it and I pitched it down a bit and I shortened it using the amplitude envelope. It's a really good technique to get these kind of hi-hats like you hear in these tracks. Like a lot of times they'll even make it like smaller like this. Just like a little quick one like that. And yeah, it's just a nice way to kind of take the 909 hi-hat and make it sound a little bit more interesting. It's like we've been hearing this for like 20 or 30 years now. You know, you got to do something new with it to kind of make it feel a little bit more fresh and a little bit more exciting. And also it makes it fit into this mix a little bit more because if we just have like a long hi-hat, it's not really going to fit. Like that sounds kind of messy, but if you make it short and tight like this, there we go. And then on the group of the hi-hats, I just have a bit of saturation, just kind of beefing them up a little bit. Here's without it. And then with it, you can hear it's like not something you may notice as much if you don't know to do it. But if you don't do this, you can hear the hi-hats aren't really going to sit in the mix the right way. Like without the saturation, they're in there, but it feels kind of muddy and weak. And then when you add this, they sit perfectly on top of the track. And yeah, so that is it for the hi-hats. And that is also going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets. All of that stuff in this video in the description. It's available right at the top of the description, so definitely go check that out. And it's also available on my Patreon. If you're a patron, go check there because it's already been available since yesterday. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. And I will see you tomorrow with another video.